Hey folks, welcome back to HeartGold vs. Crystal. We are here in Azalea Town, heading off to Ilex Forest. But we have one little interruption before we do that. The question is here. Now, the question has a certain relationship with Team Rocket that will be explored a little bit throughout the game. But a lot of it is just very much implied, so I'll talk about it probably at a later date. Anyway, I remember this fight from my youth being a rather difficult fight, mostly because he is a fairly high-leveled starter, and that Ghastly can be annoying if you don't have a very good moveset on your Pokemon. On the flip side, if you have a Psychic-type move, which normally you wouldn't unless you were using a Togepi, a Togepi in HeartGold, that is, if you have a Psychic move, he can go down pretty darn easily. Otherwise, you might want to level up to get something like Bite, or since in the original game, which I'll discuss a little bit later, you could use a Ground-type move on him, so Magnitude would be a good idea. But here he goes down pretty darn easily, because Psychic moves are actually super effective against this specific ghost, because he's part poison. Anyway, Bree has opportunity to learn Yawn, which is a 100% accuracy sleep-inflicting move. Unfortunately, it takes one turn to kick in, but still very much useful, hopefully for catching future dudes or just annoying the hell out of my opponents. Anyway, on to Quilava. He will have an evolved version of his starter, which I much appreciate. You'll remember in, like, red, blue, yellow, green, fire red, leaf green, the second or third rival fight, depending on whether or not you fight the one leading up to Victory Road, would have an over-leveled starter that is unevolved. Here, he most definitely has an evolved starter, and it's like, hey, they're actually doing something to make things a little difficult, which is actually kind of a blessing, because I'm not left yelling at the screen, going, why didn't you evolve your Kakuna and Metapod, Bugsy? On the flip side, it makes it rather difficult, especially when he's abusing things like Smokescreen, and I don't have a great super effective move against him. I was not sure if Bubble Beam or Rock Tomb would be a better option here. Someone could run the numbers and tell me that I was doing the wrong thing, but given that Bubble Beam has higher accuracy than Rock Tomb, it was probably a better option in lieu of the Smokescreens. So ha. And there's still a 3-hit KO, so it's all good. Anyway, you don't want to try to use your starter against that thing, because it will probably destroy it. That tends to be a trend that I've noticed. Anyway, now on to Zubat. He has a Zubat for some reason. And I'm like, I could just bring in Bree and use Extra Sensory, and it would go down very easily. Or I could use Rock Tomb, and it would also go down very easily. But instead I wanted to, get Sandra a little bit of experience, and then send out Bree. Sandra needs the experience, honestly. These first, like, introductory areas, we're still sort of in an introductory area right now. There will be a lot of catching team members up to the current level, and that's currently happening for Sandra, and it's going to happen again very soon for another team member. Anyway, a little bit of confusion, annoyance there, but Bree will be plenty annoying in the future to her opponents, so it's probably just preemptive karma or something. But overall, the question is actually fairly threatening at this point. Like, he has relatively high levels, higher leveled than Bugsy, and they made him a little more difficult for the remake, so I give this rival fight an A+ thumbs up. Now then, on for the original version. We've got, I don't know, it's easier but harder at the same time. Like, his levels are lower. I think for all his Pokemon, I wasn't paying too close attention. But I think just because you're limited to a number of, like, a smaller number of options, he can be more difficult. But on the other hand, I can abuse Mud Slap on this guy since he doesn't have Levitate in the second generation. And that lets Sandra get a little more experience a little more easily, just because doesn't have to share. Like so. And Sandra, you can see Sandra's a little bit ahead on experience here compared to HeartGold. Not too much of a difference, but still noticeable. Bree's way behind, though. Lack of extra sensory is really making her a little less of a killer. And Zubat, actually, you remember how I talked about all those options you could use to get rid of Zubat, or what I could have used? I don't have any of those options here. Extra sensory isn't here, Rock Tomb isn't here. I can't do it. I just have to use Brute Strength. And it works just fine, but, you know, still. Anyway, on to Quilava. And unfortunately, Klaus doesn't have Bubble Beam here, or Rock Tomb here, so I don't have anything super effective against Quilava other than Sandra's Mud Slap. And good frickin' luck killing something with Mud Slap. Yeah, Mud Slap isn't a very strong move, unfortunately. Hypothetically, I could get lucky with the accuracy drops there, and get him to a state where he just can't hit me, and Sandra could potentially kill him alone and get a lot of experience, but unfortunately, such was not the case. So now he's hampered by an accuracy drop, but will most likely not suffer any problems because of it. Because the computer hates me. I have video proof that the computer hates me, actually. You'll see. You'll all see. But I admit, this is my second attempt on this guy, because Quilava killed me the first time. And it was problematic. I didn't lose at all in the HeartGold fight, but I lost here. Anyway, now we're in kind of a dicey situation. I need to outspeed him or live a hit in order to take care of him, or we can just use Leer like an idiot. That's generally not something to bet on, but okay. And of course he uses a special move after he drops my physical defense. I don't really understand. But yeah, Quilava goes down, mostly due to its own incompetence. Anyway, that takes care of the question. Aw, man, don't be like that, man. He's such a vendetta. But he really does have this thing about being a solitary loner. Me, myself, and I, only me. Anyway, I will see you guys after this commercial break. Alright, here we go. Ilex Forest, the first forest route of the game. Fun thing about Ilex Forest, it's the only forest in the game, or in any Pokemon game actually, where wild Pokemon appear without tall grass, because it basically functions as a cave, I think, the way the original game was programmed. Anyway, here we have Farfetch'd Wrangling. This was a little different in the original, and I'll show how it was different. Here, basically, you want to craftily step on twigs to grab its attention to a certain direction, and then sneak up behind it, grab it from the back. That Farfetch'd there was fairly simple tutorial stuff. We'll see it in a little more complex way in just a second, once I grab this item, because this item is very, very valuable. It's a revive. Somebody pointed out that my voice cracks a lot. It's true. I will not deny that. Anyway, this guy is crafty because he's lodged in a corner there, and we actually cannot grab him like immediately. We need to distract him, get him to run off to another place, and then properly angle him. And as you can see, our only really option here is to get him to point that way, and then dodge that stick, and grab him. Now, he won't hear sticks that are crackling off screen, just FYI. Anyway, here in the original, there's only one Farfetch'd, and it's a little different. There are no sticks. The point is to talk to him from a certain direction in order to drive him back towards the owner, back towards the starting point. And if you aren't very good at this, you can just make things worse for yourself, and I'm struggling to get the repels out there. You'll make things worse and more complicated for you, but once you've done it once, you'll probably remember it forever, because it's like, just walk around all the way over here and drive them straight down, and it's pretty darn simple. Nothing too tricky, but it doesn't really feel like as gimmicky, I guess. I don't know. I felt it was fine as is, and the sticks were an unnecessary addition, but that's just me being picky. Anyway, for wrangling those far-fetched, we get a wonderful special prize, which we'll receive in just a sec. These guys actually do live in town, and I think if you talk to them, they will give you a charcoal, which boosts the power of fire moves. But here, for solving their problem, we get HM01, which is Cut. I don't really care for Cut. Cut is not a very good move. It's 50 base power, imperfect accuracy. It's not terrible accuracy by any means, but it can miss. And basically, it's one of those things that you just put on an HM slave, because it's not going to be useful later in the game. So that's why Chikorita is still around for the time being. I don't see why it'd be so hard to make Cut, like, better. Like, make all the HM moves actually useful in some way, shape, or form. Because that would make people a lot less annoyed by their mandatory use. Like, sure, Surf is alright, because Surf is a really good move. But, like, none of the other ones are. Anyway, this is the Ilex Forest Shrine that is involved with a number of events that I probably won't be showing off at all. But there are some rodents there, and there are some, like, flying green time-traveling things there, and it's all sorts of wonderful things. Anyway, most of Ilex Forest is just running into wild Pokemon, and putting up repels in my case, but there is one more thing of interest, two more things of interest, but one's plot related, one's mechanic related. We have this guy over here. That cannot be healthy. This guy is... I want to call him the Headbutt Master, but that would be ridiculous. But anyway, he serves as a move tutor. He will teach any one of your Pokemon Headbutt. Now, I'm not actually sure if he will teach multiple Pokemon Headbutt. That'd be very nice, and I would make use of it. If anyone in the comments would like to confirm that, that would be wonderful. But he will give you the ability to headbutt things, which is very useful for a variety of reasons. Now then, it's a little different in the original. In the original, Headbutt is a TM, which means it is consumable, but on the other hand, it's also purchasable in the next town, at the mart, which is pretty neat. Now, I taught it to Bree in HeartGold because Bree has Serene Grace, and Headbutt plays nicely with that, as you will see in the future. But here, I really wanted to give it to Sandra immediately, since Sandra was trying to get level ups, and I could just buy another TM for Bree. And Bree has Swift, and that's almost as good as Headbutt. Anyway, plot thing is Kimono Girl. You remember there was one in Violet City, but this is actually a different one. Did you think that all Kimono Girls look the same? Are you racist? What's wrong with you? God. Anyway, she's having trouble getting out, I guess. Whatever. When a rodent who lives in a cave knows a forest better than you, I'm not sure what to tell you. Anyway, there's actually one trainer in here in Crystal, but not, I think, in HeartGold, Soul Silver, or the originals. But regardless, there's an item over there. I missed it, and that made me sad. And of course, I've run out of repels, so now I have to edit out wild encounters, which is absolutely horrific. But anyway, that just about wraps up Ilex Forest, and we will finish the trek up to the next city in the next episode. So I will see you guys next time.